Hello everybody, Sein here, otherwise known as Elijah Wagner in real life, but doesn't mean nothing. Been up since 8, went to sleep at 5. Tired, bored, not really sure what I'm gonna do. Anything serious like that. But I'm going to talk about what's been happening recently. Like IRL, discuss events. Probably no one's gonna listen to these, but it'd be nice to get my thoughts out on a recording. Going into boxing, first of all. May go into some Thai kickboxing if I'm lucky. Oh, not if I'm lucky. Not if I'm lucky. Like what I plan to do. It is more of the what term is what I'm trying to come up with, I guess. Phrase, something. But going to go into some boxing, possibly do some Thai kickboxing, or that on my own instead of just going to a gym. But I'm probably gonna do boxing on my own anyways. Other things, my Steam account's been accessed by someone else. Well, it was me. I grabbed my computer, grabbed all the IPs I don't normally use, so that's one of the problems there. That, in saying that, I won't be able to play until Monday at 7:14 p.m. It's kind of strange to think about that, because that's like 3 days away. Not even 3 days away. Yesterday was Saturday, correct? Yeah. So like 3 to 4 days away. And it's just like, it's weird to think about, really. And it's just sort of weird trying to do, like trying to get it back faster isn't helping, so I'm just gonna have to wait it out. I've submitted proof of that the account is mine, with the pay stub of 2 Steam cards I bought last year, actually. Not doing anything really important right now, besides nothing. Yeah. Another topic that's sort of gotten me kind of pissed off is Texas. That Texas is doing inhumane things to eradicate. I use that word seriously. I use that word they want to eradicate, like, homosexuality, transgender, all that stuff, saying it's not real, you're the last person on earth that has that. The government found it all. The government found all the people like that and killed them, whatever. Some serious mental torture to serious physical torture, which involves wrapping not barbed wire, just like copper wire around your arms. Whenever you were shown a image of 2 men hugging, or 2 men being homosexual, or whatever we'll call it, doesn't matter what, but yeah, when they did that, it was basically like they would turn it up to high degrees of temperature, putting multiple volts of electricity through it, which if you guys like ever licked a 9-volt battery, um, I'm pretty sure you know how that feels. But Clovis had a stupid call me out on stupidity. I licked a live socket once. It wasn't. It was 15-volt socket, not that much. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I know 9-volt batteries are pretty powerful, so that's what I'm saying. Like, good 15-volt socket wasn't that powerful of a socket now that I think about it. But just with that, I felt an entire like electrical surge to like go through my body. And copper wire is a great conductor for transferring electricity, heat, and all that. So imagine like that going through your arms and possibly going throughout the rest of your body. It don't feel good, is what I'm trying to say here. It would never feel good unless if you're some weird person. Well, not weird. It's just like you're different. I respect that. I'm fine with people who are different, as long as they don't like sort of violent means against me just because I'm certain thing. I identify as male. I'm not white. My mom's white. I take my dad, who's Thai. I don't identify myself as what I want to be identified. I want to be identified as a guy. That's what I've always will be, honestly. And I'm fine with that. It's just a lot of people who don't have that courage to be like. It takes a lot more courage, honestly, for me to stay myself rather than just change myself to match with the way that society's going or anything like that. I feel that it's harder for you yourself to. How should I say this? I feel that it's harder for you. Like, take yourself right now. Say that society is going a different way, and it would require, and to fit in, you'd have to be like change yourself or change something about yourself, but you don't want to, and you know that it would help you because what if changing that personality or something else of yourself to fit into society, and that's what you want to be. It takes a lot more courage to be like, no, I don't feel that changing myself would solve anything. There'd still be biased people, there'd still be just a lot of things. Just a lot of things wrong with everything, really, with just either you stand your ground and not follow, like, I'm not a hipster or anything. Like, I'm anything but a hipster. But when society is going towards something, it's like hipsters, online, smartphones, I don't care. I don't do what the majority party thinks, alright? Like, I'm gonna get a job. I want people to put the idea into my head that I want to get a job. I need to get a job. No, I put the idea in my own head. Alright? I think of what I'm going to do. I know I can be a freelance artist if I really had to be. I really do want to be. There's no real had or want or if or why or buts about it. It's what I want to do with my time. But problems arise when you're trying to fill things because just not everything is just made equally. People aren't made equally, governments aren't made equally. Everything has a downside. But with those downsides comes upsides. It's tying back into what I said earlier about standing your ground. It's like, I'm fine if you want to change yourself physically or anything like that. But sometimes I just think, just like, well, if you're gonna change yourself from being a guy to a woman, or being a woman to a guy, you really just lose your ability to procreate properly. And really, I just think that's sort of, I don't think it's a coward's way, and I respect anyone who does that, but I think it's sort of a way out of, I sort of see it as being coward. Like, it's like saying that you're on the losing side of a war. You're in the battlefield, what do? Do you just run? Do you continue fighting for your cause? Or do you join the enemy team? And there's that idea right there. That's basically what I've summed up. Either you be a coward and go home and do the easy thing and just wait for it to be over. You join the enemy team. You join the enemy. You change yourself to their laws. Try to get people on your side to go with what the other people believe, because you're losing the war, and you don't want you don't want to die. Is sort of what I'm saying here. But then there's those people who are loyal to the core. So they stand their ground. They don't want to change. They don't want to be. They don't. If there's people that don't go through gender reassignment or gender transformations because they'll still be them. That's the big problem here. No matter what you do to your body, you'll still be yourself in your mind, in your brain. From life to end. Or death. But if you honestly believe that if you change yourself wanting to be accepted into society, wouldn't you see that as being a coward's way out, or just taking a shorter path? Because if you were to, like, I don't know, like, say you you're going from male gender to female gender in a world where you're attracted to males and you're a guy, so you're practically homosexual or pansexual, depending on how you identify it. You don't have any attraction to women. But here comes this guy. He was well, let's wait for that part. And so basically, you decide to change yourself to a woman, and here comes this guy. He looks like a normal guy. You look like any other woman. You want to be with the guy, and that guy wants to be with you. The thing is, that guy did the same thing. That guy was a girl who did gender transformation or reassignment. And you're dating a girl. That's all it is. You wouldn't know until you two really talked, and really that'd just be like counterintuitive, because eventually you just be like, you made an ass out of yourself. You really just made the biggest ass out of yourself. You went through all this trouble only to be with a guy, and you're homosexual. But then you start to question yourself on, like, why did I do this? Why couldn't I just stay myself? Now I can't. Because you can't go back when you do gender reassignment. You can't go back. If you do, there's just horrible consequences. Like, your body will not be able to procreate or anything like that. The thing is that people don't understand that if I'm male, if I'm female, or whatever you are, whoever or whatever you are listening to this, I don't care, so to speak, I, I don't care to a point. Like, I don't care to a point, and that point really is are you going to take the coward's way, or are you going to stand your ground and wait and do things to be able to move on in life, instead of just changing yourself to go with life until we move on with life. You understand that? You probably don't understand that, but what I'm saying is that don't change yourself. If you believe in something, if you want to stay with something, if you want to be yourself, and if you want to be attracted to somebody, and that's not with the mainstream society, and that person's attracted to you, what does it matter? Other people aren't you, and you're not other people. You don't know until you try. And that's a lot of these things. It's just that people don't understand the implications of these things, that they wonder why, like, why is it that like other homosexual people or heterosexual people or whatever, heterosexual to pansexual to asexual, like people don't understand, like, why don't you accept me doing this? I did this to be with you, and it's just like the other person replies, I wanted to be with you because you were you, not that you wanted to be with, so to speak. If you care about someone strong enough to want to change yourself, and take it up with the person. Take it up with the person. Take it up with your family. Would they feel it okay for you to, like, what would they think? Would they think it'd be a coward's way out? Would they think it'd be joining the other forces and mowing down your platoon? I don't think it'd be worth it to just go through all of that trouble and spend so much money on just wasting your time. Like, wasting your time and drifting yourself into mainstream society. I'm not saying mainstream's a bad thing. I'm not saying, like, anything, like, bad. Like, I'm not saying hipsters are bad, mainstream's bad, or anything like that. It's just, like, there's tons of accounts of people changing their genders and reassigning themselves to be someone else that they're not. You're not whoever you are. Like, you're not. It's not that. You're not who you want to be. You can never be who you want to be. You can never be that perfect boy in school, or that perfect girl who's the outcast, who listens to punk rock all the time, and bites her tongue when people start to insult her ways, or whatever. It's not, like, it's just not it's not who you want to be. It's who you are. You can't change that you like a certain genre of music. You can't change that you look a certain way. You can't, like, if you're like, I'm gonna exaggerate here, like 250-pound woman and you're short and wide, and you want to look like Barbie. Like, you want to look like one of those skinny girls on TV. No, just don't think like that. Think about who you are, what you can do to make yourself be attractive. You gotta work your ass off to be able to accept yourself. You gotta make yourself to that respectable form that you want to be. You don't take shortcuts. You don't take rhinoplastic or liposuction or gender reassignment or gender transformation. You don't do that. You don't change. You don't change parts of your body to for for like a short term goal. Because when you realize it and get down straight to it, people won't know what you are, what you want to be, or what you want to strive to be, is what I should say. Not want to be, but strive. Be, like, be yourself. Just go. You don't have to go with the flow of mainstream society. You can always just stay on the sidelines, and try and influence it by trying to direct other people to go with you to a different current. And just like it's not that hard to do. I mean, many things like that, but many people think that Malcolm X's way of dealing with things, he was racist, he was a sexist. It's not that hard to see in real life, but he was. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He really was. He would fight violence with violence. He would make it to the point of where he would do what the whites did to his people. He would beat them. He would kill them. He would possibly even like rape them. Have his people rape them. And it's just like Malcolm X is not the way to go if you're gonna go through and make a lifelong change. That's why when he died, people didn't be like, oh, we all should like go to Malcolm X's way instead of Martin Luther King's, and we should. No, people didn't do that. People went to Martin Luther King's way due to the fact that how successful it was and how it made the people and how it represented the people. Like, imagine like you're in Texas. You're a homosexual and you go into a diner. In Texas, if you're homosexual, the restaurant people are allowed to kick you out if you're homosexual or genderqueer. So there's that. And it's just like, why? Why would you repeat the past of what you've done to African American people? Or they're not even African Americans. They're Americans. They were born on the soil and they live their life here like any normal person. And it's just like, it's just hard to think that people would just be like, wow, just like, oh my god, you're repeating the past, and as many people say that the more often you past, the more often you're dooming yourself. Black people would bleach their skin to fit in with the white people. That's basically just like gender reassignment or straight camps are today. It's just like you're built into mainstream society, and it's made to think in mainstream society that's how it's got to be. But no, it's you gotta pull Martin Luther King. You gotta build an uprising. You gotta build it to have a strong backbone. You gotta build it to be able to protect itself, to not just stand alone, to stand up with other people, other minorities in society. You gotta just continue moving. The more you stay at the side of the mainstream, more people you get to come with you instead of always actively going against it and not making any progress. Even if you have many people, the mainstream's still going. It still has a lot more people behind it, but when you got those people taking a straight right turn off that mainstream path, that mainstream highway, and then you start to see that colorful little town off in the distance, instead of that big bustling city, and that colorful little town is full of different things and new possibilities for people, and you're able to build that into that big city, and then people will see that that big city may not be a way for them, and then they'll continue on with what you left off, with that side stream going off into the distance, into that small town. Like, you don't change yourself to fit in. You don't change yourself to be what you want to be. You change yourself mentally. You don't change yourself physically, because that makes you, the only other way I can say it is a coward. And if you're going to change yourself physically, bleaching your skin, changing your gender, changing whatever, to be with someone or be with a group of people that is popular in the mainstream, don't. Just don't. It's just because you want to be friends with them doesn't mean that they want to be friends with you. You'll never know if you don't ask. You might as well just go up and ask a popular part of mainstream society and figure out what they think. And figure out why they think that way, and see if you can build up a way to be able to convince the people of mainstream society that maybe you're not just some like small guild fish going off into that mainstream highway. You try to get those celebrities to back you up, and when they start backing you up, you try to get senators. You gotta try to get the government. You gotta try to get smaller portions of the government. You gotta keep continuing, rocking on until just the point of boom. Look back and what you've done, and then you see all that of what you've done. And I paused for a little bit to catch my breath and take a couple of drinks of water. I've been talking for about 18 minutes straight so far, and really it's just sort of like that. But once you got celebrities following you, get the government, and you continue on marching through the land that biased people claim their own, that biased people try to take over and compensate for that they're weak and that they can't go other places without stepping over people. And it's just like, maybe sometimes we can just think and just like try to build up what Martin Luther King did to change society. And as they said, history repeats itself, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could be one of the best things ever. Like how we integrated blacks and other minorities into our society in the 60s. Well, before the 60s, it wasn't even like really a thing to consider. A black man going into a movie theater? Oh no, that can't be. He has to go to that shitty little shipwreck we made for black people only, and we don't always show like not even real movie tapes. It's just a place. It's just like we make our society. We make our biases. We make everything that we despise. And when we make things that we despise, people appreciate those things that we despise, and we despise those people. But eventually, like eventually, people will be just start moving up, and people start moving up, backing up that thing that mainstream society despises, that's like homosexuals, minorities, and other things, and minorities is still just a real problem, as well as healthcare, and Republicans. Like I'm not saying anything bad about Republicans, but 30% of the Republican Party, if they were to get into presidency, they would do nothing. If they got into Senate, they would do nothing. If they got into Congress, they would do nothing. And that number is growing with that number of Republicans not wanting to do anything is growing. And we can't stop that unless we influence society. We, the young people, we must influence society, and if we're gonna do that, we gotta make our stand. We gotta make our stand. We gotta stand up ourselves, not be pushed around by the big government, man. Just because we're being pushed around by the big government doesn't mean that we can't push back. Sure, our power might not be as strong, but if we push back, the government will see that maybe we're not so weak. Maybe we can beat down the government and change it, like we did in the 60s and up to the 90s with mainstream society changing. From home phones to mobile phones, man, those bricks, man. But seriously, you just gotta keep moving. You gotta make your own society. If you don't like the society that you're in, you gotta influence the society that you are in. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean you can't change it. I mean, heck, it's imagine, just a bunch of, just what if in mainstream society, cats, dogs, and other four-legged mammals were not pets? We didn't see them as pets, and we just saw them as wild animals and stupid, exotic things in the wild. And then we have these stupid goldfish as everybody's main pet, and it's just like, then we see some guy coming in from down the street. Seems normal enough, but he has a weasel. What's wrong with him? Nothing's wrong with him. It's just that he has a different pet than you guys do. He comes from a different society where certain things are accepted as pets, and it's just a lot different than what you'd expect things to be. And then they go to check out that society. See what culture of barbarians it is, and it's just like they just see a bunch of people doing the same activities that all those people do. They just have different pets. They get buggies for creatures. It's covered in fur. What is this? This isn't my anglerfish I have. This isn't my anglerfish. This isn't my beta. This isn't my Chinese goldfish with black goldfish with huge eyes. Those are adorable. I'm getting off topic, but you see these cats, dogs, a bunch of different things, and they're behaving how your fish behave, and you start to think maybe it's not too different after all. There's some kids outside yelling, having fun, I presume. Oh, there goes my dog. My dog's still barking, but she's not barking a lot. She's just sort of softly going bleh, like that. Should go, yeah, here. But yeah, it's sort of a problem that today's society has, is where it's built in this way where we all think that something's the normal or the medium of all things, when in reality, that next culture nearby is just, that next culture nearby is literally all it is just, it's, it's just things that, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. So, well, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that the next culture nearby, the next big city, that next small town, or whatever analogy I used before, from highway to fish, I guess, to each their own. But you see these other societies, these big cities of different people, different, like, ethnicities, and these different ideas of how you should live life. Are you a good person if you're religious? Are you a good person if you believe in certain things? Probably not. Because being a good person is a lot more than just being good. Being religious or doing good. It's not being religious. That's what I'm saying right now. I'm talking about a different subject already. That's like, this is how tired I am, and it's almost 12. In good 30 something minutes of recording. But about 30, 40 minutes actually, surprisingly. But it's not if you're a good person and what you do, or what your practices are. It's that you're a good person for being a good person. What you are doing to help communities, to aid other people in need of this help that you're giving them, and it's something beautiful when you do something like that, like helping the homeless people. Instead of just going by and putting spikes where we're supposed to sleep, trying to ward them off like there's just some sort of rat. They're not. And for the closer of this, for the closer of this really podcast, I guess. Well, not even a podcast, just like a shoutcast, I guess. Like a thought to ponder, I guess. Thought to ponder is: would you rather just be stranded on an island with a boat? Would you rather keep the boat, use it as a shelter or something else, or you could leave with that boat? Where do you cut your ties? And went off again. But do you keep the boat, or do you break into firewood, break into useful materials for yourself, make some hammers? Like, it's not just you on that boat; it's like 7 other people. Do you all agree? Do you all have a leader? Do you all go with one way? You make a society. You make a society of people who care and genuinely active in bettering themselves and the community around them by building on the island, making it more populated, making their own things, making their own houses and things. Well, not just houses, just like general stuff, creating things, creating new things, creating like a new magnetic field that, like making a new magnetic field that acts as a source of teleportation. It's just like using that. It's different thinking about it. It's just like that, and just like thought to ponder. Well, today is this week's thought to ponder. Next week I'll do another one of these, but this week's thought to ponder: cut your ties and just move on, keep what you have and possibly go back to the bad memories or the good memories of how you remember it. Anyways, flow against mainstream society, or flow to the side. Go to that small community outside, be accepting, and this has been a shoutcast by Sein. I'm tired if y'all can't tell, but have a nice day.